What if a man of both worlds, dungeon and surface, existed? A common ground between the two. A messiah that possessed the ability of a familia, yet had the power of a monster. What if this person was Cranel, blood of Zeus, and last member of his familia? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy. But yeah, this is part 3 of What If Cranel was a vampire. If you have been enjoying this series, please consider subscribing. Also, we just got some new channel merch, as you can see here. The link to all that will be down in the description. I would like to thank Streamlabs for hosting our merch. And if you want to buy our merch or even create your own through Streamlabs, all the links will be down in the description. So without further ado, roll that intro. As it fades away, a light brightly shines from Belle's back. Hestia would jump up. She's never seen someone's status update on its own, or at least glow on its own. They don't necessarily know what's happening. Some time would pass and him and Hestia, being Belle and Hestia, would research or study what's happened to the status itself. When they realized, not only did his stats go down, but his level seemingly as well, and slowly his status is fading away. If he doesn't get a status update directly from Zeus, then he's gonna lose everything. He's gonna become a normal person, or maybe even worse, a dungeon monster. Hestia doesn't speak much on Belle or the gods' past, since it is intertwined. She does feel guilty what the other gods did to this poor child, but there's not much she could do about it right now. Belle would decide he's headed to the dungeon. Belle would head off, and when he gets to the dungeon, he'd encounter a certain familia. As he does walk upon the Loki familia, Tione and Tiona would clamp themselves onto him, saying, "Oh, Mr. Vampire, would you like to join our raid today?" With him just looking at them with confusion. Finn would actually walk up and tell the two to leave the guy alone, as he'd explain, they're going as far down into the dungeon as possible today, and an extra level 5 hand might not be unwanted. So the raid would proceed, and everything would go similar to what it did in canon for the Loki familia. This is obviously the raid at the end of season 1. So whilst this scavenge through the dungeon is happening a little easier than it did initially, we see Hestia talking to Hermes. Well, the reason she's talking to Hermes is about Belle. She explains that the kid's about to lose everything. He might go berserk. This time, a familia might actually wipe him out, especially when there's more than just 3 low-leveled familia ganging up on him, with Hermes just giving a nod as he calls for one of his own familia members, Asfae, or Lady Asfae. They would then start heading in one of the cardinal directions to go find Zeus. Why they're trying to find Zeus, we do not yet know. Back in the dungeon, at this point it's been about a week, and the party is making its way back down. But on the way down, they encounter a species of poisonous monster, and a lot of them do get poisoned. It's not specified who got poisoned, but all of them are a little down in the dumps. They've had a hard week, to say the least. Some runners would be sent up to the surface while they rest on the 18th floor, which is a safe zone. These runners would run past Lady Hestia, and Her having found that the Loki Familia and Bell had gone together, she questions this. This runner is obviously another level 5 Familia member of the Loki Familia, being bet or beat, depending on how you say it, as he would explain the situation. A bunch of the people in the party had gotten poisoned and they're all in a pretty bad state. He's just trying to come get the cure, if there is any cures available. At this point, Hestia is panicked. She would start drastically looking for Hermes, eventually basically not only asking him to send one of his Familia members into the dungeon, but basically begging him to send someone into the dungeon. Bell needs a status update. After all, she was explained that even though Bell took out a majority of the monsters, he didn't seem to be level 5, at least not in power. Hermes would now say that, yeah, you're right, his status probably got even more distorted. He's gonna need this more than anyone else, as he would decide both him and his Familia member would head into the dungeon. Hestia would obviously bring up the fact that gods are prohibited from going into the dungeon, but Hermes would only reply with a, "Now where's the fun in that, Hestia?" And she would also insist on going along herself. So this time, instead of it being the large party it initially was, it would be Hermes, one of his Familia members, and Hestia. And yes, the Familia member that is going along with them is Asfe, or Asfe, depending on how you want to say it. They would make it down the floors, eventually encountering a problem upon the 16th floor. Not necessarily in the monsters that roam there, but the realization that the next floor is the floor boss, and he should have regenerated by now. They would be cut short when they realized that not only did the runner for the Loki Familia return, but several more. So they should be able to overwhelm this boss. So that's exactly what they did. They would make their way down to the 18th floor, where the cures would be presented. They'd see that Bell himself was okay, and Hermes would motion for Hestia to keep quiet for now. They could present it afterwards. They don't want too many people knowing about this. And for a while, things are gonna go normally. At least that's until the Sword Princess offers Bell's party, being Bell, Hestia, Lord Hermes, and the connected Familia, to go to a city with on this floor. Everyone would accept being interested, and as in the original, Hestia would want the perfume, and this time Bell, remembering his negotiation, would actually have feelings for her, not in the way of mutual nor God nor fucking relationship wise. He just feels like he needs to protect this goddess for some reason. This is a feeling he had never felt, not even with his grandfather's wife. Whatever, he would think to himself, as he would just buy it for her, and that's how he would continue. He would eventually make it to the tavern, where obviously some adventurers would be pretty pissed at him, but they would also see that he's not exactly okay. Some of these adventurers were actually down at the 18th floor the first time the Loki Familia was making their way down here, and they missed out on a lot of money because of him. So that's where they brew the idea. Hermes would still give them the cap of invisibility, and they would still proceed to capture Goddess Hestia. So when it came down to it, Bell would actually chase after the rogue goddess. Even though he's a vampire and his smell isn't the extremist, he was still able to pick up some sort of scent from her and follow it, since that perfume was strong. This time, obviously, not having Lilyruka there does mean that no one would save her from the forest. So just for simplicity's sake, she will be kept with the rest of the adventurers, quote unquote, where the battle would take place. So when it came down to it, it would be similar to what had initially happened, but this time Bell wouldn't want to land hits. He would tank some hits, tank most hits actually, being about slightly above the level of the one that was hitting him. he was able to effortlessly find him, and for some reason we saw him drying up like a raisin. He was thinning, his muscle disappearing as Bell was absorbing his life force. The person could feel the life leaving them as Bell would let it go back, saying, "I could have killed you right there. Just know next time I won't be as nice if you touch a goddess. And this goddess does not belong to me. So you thinking she had any attachment was volatile," as he would throw him down, his muscles slowly returning. Then, in a heroic fashion, Bell would pick up Goddess Hestia, jumping away. Not much time would change from him jumping to try and head back to base camp when the sky would turn red, or at least the crystallized roof. Monsters would start attacking from the forest, something they had not priorly done. And quickly, all the adventurers that were there would regroup. This is the dungeon break. Obviously, Bell, not being in exactly the best of positions, wouldn't really be able to do much apart from what he could have done originally. He would be able to regain his energy as he defeats more monsters, but that just keeps his stamina levels up. It's not really putting him in an advantage. And then there's that monster, the one that the Sword Princess and Lady Asfi were taking care of, the boss. They had seemingly destroyed many a times, but unless they completely get rid of that core, then they don't know what will happen. As time progresses, they would get more tired, and eventually the boss would overwhelm them. Bell can't stand this anymore. He was supposed to be the strongest person here. It's actually driving him nuts. He's not a hero, not like his grandfather wanted him to be, at least, when he has a flashback to when Zeus told him, "Bell, to be a hero, you must put your life at risk. Save anyone you can, even if it means that you yourself will die." It flashes back and he decides to run, as the giant would slap not only Lady Asfi, but also slap the Sword Princess away. Bell would stand there, launching as many attacks. He even tried absorbing the floor boss's life force, but it didn't seem to have any. "It's not like the normal floor boss," he would scream, as he would continue. Lady Asfi and even the Sword Princess, Lady Eyes, would actually be in pretty bad condition. They'd be beyond standing up at this point. They just need to lay back and have Bell handle this. Bell would start trying everything he did in canon, running up the giant, slicing at him, destroying entire portions of him with magic, but he could never reveal that entire core. He's too weak in this state. He would scream out, I can't do it," drastically, of course, as Lord Hermes would see. "I didn't want to do this, but Bell, catch this. It's a portion of Zeus's blood. If you pour it on your status, it will update, and you'll be able to defeat this beast." He would throw it towards Bell, as Bell would run towards it, trying to catch it. But as it was about to touch Bell's hand, the floor boss would grab him, pulling him closer. The blood, at least the vial, would shatter on the ground, the blood being unusable, as Bell would shout into the sky, "No." But yeah, that's gonna be it for this part, guys. I really do hope y'all did enjoy. This has been part 3 to What If Bell Cranel Was a Vampire. So yeah, this is one of those Halloween themed series. I really do hope y'all like it. It will be finished this month because of the Halloween thing, so don't y'all worry. And also, we have a merch now, so if you want to, go check that out. And our intro and outro were created by the Dragon Lord, and these videos are dominantly edited by our boy Steak. Their links will also be in the description. And if you haven't yet, consider joining my Discord and follow me on social platforms. All that shit will be in the description. So without further ado, this has been your boy Six. Peace.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Subscribe for more.
Yada yada does it.